What's up, guys? I'm Kyle Milan. I'm back with another live. Today is Tuesday the 13th. So what is the topic of today? We're talking about max ROI in industrial marketing campaigns. Maximize your return on investment. So like I said, I got 5 topics to talk about. 5 bullet points. Number 1, let's talk about this. Set your goal. So before you can do any sort of campaign, it does not matter if the campaign is branding, it does not matter if the campaign is driven to do lead generation, RFQs, opportunities, whatever. You first have to set your goal. What do I mean by that? What is the purpose of this campaign? And draw it out and lay it out. You can't do the other steps until you first understand what is the purpose. Now, most people are like, no, I already know my goal. My goal is I want money, I want revenue, but you have to clearly define it. What is the mission? What is the purpose of this campaign? Does not matter the vertical or anything like that. First, stay with me and just focus on the goal. Is the goal you're trying to get brand recognition? Because all the other actions are going to change based on what your goal is. Your goal could be brand recognition. Your goal could be lead generation, literal leads. And I don't mean like somebody just saying like, oh, I clicked the link and downloaded something. Maybe that is your goal. Maybe you're just trying to push some content out there. You want downloadable people to download the content, download your guides, to then go into your funnel, X, Y, and Z. But the first step is clearly defining what is the purpose of this campaign. And it doesn't have to be a campaign that's just focused on a certain time period, like 30 days, 60 days. It could be a 12-month campaign. It could be a 2-year campaign. But first step is to clearly set your goal. The second step is going to be define your target. We're going to say, all right, if my goal, let's go through some scenarios. My goal is to generate leads for this machine tool company. Okay. I need leads for my salespeople in these regions. I've got 5 salespeople. I got 10 salespeople, and they need leads. They don't have enough leads right now. So first, we're going to set the goal as everything has to be driven around generating leads. We're not interested in long-term nurturing. We're interested in leads today. They need stuff in the month of March. We're going to build out the campaign in the month of February, set all the stuff, create the content, et cetera, et cetera. But they want leads being delivered in March. So after we set that goal, we're going to define the target. Who are we going after? Are we going after a specific industry? We're going after medical. We're going after aerospace. We're going after defense. We're going after firearms. We're going after industrial. Like, what is the specific industry? Start there. Once you have the industry, now let's break that out a little bit. What types of companies are we going to go after? And write this down. I want to go after companies from 11 to 500 employees. And the reason why you want to go employees is because all of the data is based on employees. You don't really want to do it based on revenue. I'm looking for companies that are 150 million to $1 billion. It's such a wide range. And is that information really accurate? Meh. The employee side is a lot easier to go after. So you can correlate the two if you know the information, right? If you know, hey, I'm going after companies in the machining world, I'm going after machine shops, or I'm going after people that do machining, grinding, et cetera, and I want to go after companies that are around $40 million. Okay, how many people is that? Like 51 to 200, that range? Is it 200 to 500? Probably not, because that would be ridiculous. They would be losing money if it was 200 to 500 people with only 40 million in machining. But that's how you can correlate the two. Figure out what is the revenue based on the number of employees, and this is somewhat guessing, because that data is much more accurate. So you've set the industry. Now you want to look at what is the geographic location and the size of the companies. So define that target. Then you want to figure out who are the people, and not just decision makers. You don't want to just go, if you're this machine tool company, you're selling tools, and you're like, the person that makes the decision is a commodity manager, it's a purchasing person, it's a specialist. Yes, 100% go after them, but do not put your blinders on and only go after decision makers. You have to look at the entire department and cross departments. So if I'm going after purchasing people for machine tools, I also want to go after engineers that are maybe designing something because they're going to know the tools a little bit better. The purchasing people, for the most part, are purchasing based on what somebody tells them to purchase. So they have an application, I need to purchase this. The engineer says, or somebody in ops says, hey, this is what I need. X, Y, and Z, I've already defined it. And then the purchasing person can go and find other people to do the same and do some research, etc. That may be the decision maker, but you also want to look at engineers. You also want to look at operations. You also, depending on the company size, look at C-level, president, CEO, COO of operations. You want to look at all those different areas. And sometimes, honestly, depending on who you're going after, the salespeople too. If you can get a cheerleader from a different department that's going to purchasing and being like, dude, you should check out this company. They sell exactly what we need for our own internal operations. That can help. It can be super beneficial. So ideally, you want to go after everybody. Like look back and say, if everybody at this company knew who I was and what we did, would it be beneficial? Most likely, yes. Is it necessary? No, not everybody. But if that's the end goal to be most beneficial, it doesn't hurt to say, I want to go after different departments. Now, you don't, if they have 150 salespeople or they have 6,000 engineers, try and be smart about it. I want to go after new product development engineers. I want to go after manufacturing engineers, depending on what it is that you sell. You should know that already. Who is your target demographic? But too often people say, I just want to go after these people. That could be the ideal target, but you have to have auxiliary and secondary and perpendicular targets too, because those divisions all talk. So clearly define your target, map it all out. Now, how are you going to get this contact information? This is where list building comes in. Do not trust some third party to be like, I build lists for you all the time. I got this database of people. I'll sell it to you, all that stuff. That stuff does not work. Usually that data is outdated. Use your own tool, or if you're partnering with an agency like MFG Tribe, we have the tools ourselves. We spend lots of money every single year on these resources to be able to build exact lists, to be able to build lists specific to SIC codes, industries, company size, geographic region, et cetera, job function. Did they change a job? What's their contact information that you have? What's their title? What department are they in? What's their seniority level? All that stuff. We build these lists all week long for our customers because this information is necessary. So you can have those tools yourself if you want to spend for the license. The best two right now, Seamless AI and ZoomInfo. ZoomInfo has been around forever, right? For a decade. Those two are the best. Apollo, if you want to spend the money on Apollo, Lucia, not bad. But if you're talking about a robust system that's grabbing information and you could do it at scale, I'm not talking like 50 people. I'm talking like 500, 5,000, 50,000. If you're trying to go after a group and really cover up that vertical, you want to use those two tools. It's not super expensive. You can pay for it yourself or just use our license. We'll farm the information for you and do all the campaigns and all that stuff. But clearly define the target. You have to know exactly who you're going after. Now, if you're like, Kyle, I want to go after everybody. I want to go after everybody out there. Let's break this down. Let's break this down into verticals to be a little bit more strategic. Because if your total available market, your TAM, is 10 million people, you don't want to start a campaign that says, I'm going after 10 million people all at once. You want to break it up into segments. Now, you can either do that by changing the company size, the employee count. You could do that based on a geographic region. But if you're like, they're all spread out, okay, maybe do it based on company size. What does that data show you? Well, I had 10 million, but then when I say 11 to 50 people or 51 to 200 people, that gives me 1 million. Okay, maybe that makes sense for you. But you're clearly defining everything. You're looking at all different aspects. So it could be company size as you're defining targets for the vertical. It could be the industry, could be geographic location, but most industrial companies are not saying like, let me just go after the Southeast unless maybe you're doing distribution. So if you're doing distribution, maybe you want to say, hey, this is a Southeast campaign. We're targeting all these people geographically. That could work for you. That all depends. Clearly define your target. The next step, you need to define your verticals and set them up. What do I mean by verticals? Your marketing verticals. What tools, what tactics, what strategies are you going to use to make all this come into play? So you set the goal as lead generation. You sell tools to manufacturing companies and OEMs. You set the target as I'm trying to generate those leads. My target is going to be companies in this range, 51 to 200 employees in the United States that are servicing these 5 industries. Now it's got to be, what verticals are we going to use? How are we going to go after these people? What are the tools? So let's look at the tools. You got to know where they live, right? You got to look at your target demographic and say, if I'm this person, what am I doing on a daily basis? Luckily, we do this every day for our clients, so I can tell you where the attention is best used. But you have to make sure that all these things are working. Otherwise, steps 4 and 5 aren't going to work and you're going to be pissed off. So when we're defining the verticals, you need to have some sort of content, right? It all starts with the content. What is it? The content is going to then drive people to a page, a web page. Then from the web page, they're going to take some action, which equals a lead / RFQ. If that is the goal, create content, send them to a page, they take action, it generates a lead. Let's look at what are the specific verticals that you can do. So you need to have some sort of social, which would be LinkedIn. You need to have some sort of email. You can have PPC, but if you got social, what are we going to do with social? With social, you're going to want to focus on the social platform where you can actually get a hold of them. That's going to be LinkedIn. Kyle, are you saying that you should run paid ads on LinkedIn? Maybe you should. But instead of just saying, I want to run paid ads on it, try and focus organically too. Like you need to have everybody on the team, everybody on board with this to where you're going to focus organically while you're also doing paid. So that way you don't have to spend as much money on paid. But for social, you should be, given the target, given who you're going after, you should be pushing that content, whether it's graphics, pushing to a landing page, organic posts for that specific vertical, for that specific industry every single week, preferably 3 times a week. 3 times a week, let's call it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, busiest times on LinkedIn, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mondays and Fridays, the bookends, people aren't really there as frequently. So Tuesday through Thursday, you're making a post every single day. And those posts are about your goal, which is to drive engagement. But what are you going to be posting? That's where the content comes in. You have to have some sort of content to be able to push out on social. What should that content be? Written, spoken, and videos and graphics, right? A mixture of them, just a couple of them, depends on the resources and the tools that you guys have. Ideally, you want to be posting at least 1 video, preferably 2, but at least 1 video about that specific goal of your campaign. You want to have some sort of graphic every single week. That changes. Every week is a different graphic. It's a custom social graphic. That's going to change every single week. And you want to have some sort of long form text. Could be an article. Maybe it's a case study. Maybe it's a white paper. Maybe it's a blog post that you have about that, driving people to that specific goal of booking time, sending you an RFQ, just purchasing your stuff if you've got e-com. It depends on the resources that you have. If you're working with a marketing agency, just be like, these are the things I need. This is what I need from you. Make it happen. And then just get the content from them. If you work with MFG Tribe, we lay it all out for you. We say, this is what we think it should be. You approve it. Then we go and create the content. But you have to have content in order to push out on social. Same thing on the email side. Okay, you've gone and defined your target. You know who you're going after. You've built some sort of list. That's the best way to do it. Pay for the contact information, and then you can go and market to them numerous times over and over again. So that $1 or 80 cents or 70 cents, whatever it worked out to, based on what you're spending for the contact information, makes it very robust to be able to say, all right, I need to put these people through a sales sequence on HubSpot or in Marketo or in some other CRM system. HubSpot's going to be the best and the easiest, and it's going to deliver the most trackable results. But no systems are bad to use as long as you're using a system. We've used them all here. I just prefer HubSpot. And it's not because I'm a partner with HubSpot. I prefer HubSpot because it gives the most results. We're also partners with companies like Klaviyo for the e-com side. They're great for what they do. But in general, HubSpot's going to be the best because with HubSpot, you can then send information to the other sales platform if you don't use sales in your CRM of HubSpot, Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics 365. Send it over there once you get a marketing qualified lead, etc. So email is great because you've got the person's contact information. You can organically have your people go after them on LinkedIn. Your salespeople should be trying to connect with them. Depends on how your team's established. But if I ran your team, I'd say your salespeople need to go after them, connect with these people. Oh, but we do it through distribution. Doesn't matter. Then it's more brand awareness. You're not tracking the actual purchase. You're trying to drive brand awareness to the people to then ask the distributor to buy your product. It doesn't matter. It's all about going out there and pushing hard into the ecosystem and breaking through the noise, right? So email is one of them. You need to have a robust campaign where you're going to be sending out content, follow-ups through sales sequences, preferably not marketing emails, preferably not just generic workflows. Sales sequences work better for this type of tactic, but that way it's done organically, you're not paying per click. Then on the PPC side that I threw up there, like that, you have to have multiple verticals you're going after. So for PPC, break that into it and say, I'm going to do PPC on LinkedIn. What are you going to do on LinkedIn? I'm going to do targeted search. Who are you going after? I'm going after this list of people that I got from this system that I'm email marketing to. Now I'm going to push them to a ad campaign that's only going to go to these people. Perfect. If you can't get them through email, you can now get them through social. Plus, my salespeople are already trying to connect with these people organically. So you got organic social working. You're posting organically about it. If they come across a hashtag, if they follow your page, if someone that they know likes your content or engages on it, they're going to see it in their feed. That's working. And if that fails, you got PPC where you're just throwing it in front of them on a sponsored post within their feed as they're scrolling and it shows up. This is so simple, right? It's like people overcomplicate these things. And then when you really break it down, if I'm trying to get a hold of you, then I'm going to say, where can I get a hold of you at? I know I can go to your house and find you. I can go to your business, but like, how can I get a hold of you while you're just going throughout your day? I want to put things in front of you, and if you like it, you're going to engage with it. So you got that side of PPC. Then you got the search side. Maybe it makes sense to do a search. It could, right? If they're searching for a specific phrase, this type of tool, this type of solution, they're Google searching it. If your organic SEO is not at the top, if you're not ranking positions 1, 2, or 3, but you got 4 people running ads, it might make sense to run an ad to that. Depends on your budget. Are you okay with spending $8, $12, $30 per click, $2 per click? Are you okay with that? You can't just think, oh, anybody that clicks is going to want to buy. That's not the case. There's people doing research, people doing competitor stuff, a bunch of spammers out there. They're just clicking that stuff. They don't care regardless. So it could make sense to do search. It might make more sense to just do retargeting. Hey, I'm doing all this organic stuff, sending out emails. These people went to my website. Now I want to retarget them. They went to my website. They visited more than 2 pages, more than 1 page. I want to retarget those people with display ads on Google's network for the next 30 days, 45 days. That's a cheaper approach, depending on how much traffic you're getting. You're talking a couple $100, a few $100 a month. Even if you're getting 5,000, 8,000 people a month, you can then say, all right, I don't want to retarget everybody. I just want to retarget the people that clicked these links and went to these pages. Looking at your verticals, when you do the page, right, you're sending traffic to a page, ideally that page is going to be optimized and specific. This is the way that you're going to be able to track it. Once we get to step 5, you're going to be like, dude, this makes complete sense. But you have to have all of these things lined up. If you're just using one of them, if you just said, my goal is lead generation to these companies, I'm going to send an email. That can work. But we're talking about maximizing your ROI. It may cost a little bit more to get things going, but once you look at the whole system, the ecosystem, you're good. So we've got social, email, PPC. These are the pillars that are going to be holding everything up. What else can we do? You could go organic video, right? You want videos that are specific to what your purpose is. But these could be the main 4 pillars. Those are 4 pillars that you can use. With video, so you think people are searching, I want to rank organically. Well, I'm not ranking organically right now, Kyle, because with tools, with machining tools, stuff like that, like I'm going against some big boys, I'm going against stuff that isn't even relevant. People are running ads like crazy. All right, what about videos though? If I search that in YouTube, number 2 search engine on the planet, if I type that in, what am I going to see? Am I going to see a video from your competitor? No, dude, nobody's making videos. Make videos then. It's a longer term play, but do it today. Do it in February. Go and shoot video content, post on YouTube, optimize for that. If you're like, I don't know how to optimize it, Google search it. I'm not going to go through the details on this live. I can give you the details on how to optimize for SEO. We do it. We outrank most of our competitors, if not all of them, on all the search phrases that we care about. For our clients, do the same. Is your video long enough? Is it engaging? Does it have the right vibe, right tone? Yeah, dude, we got tons of videos. We got a playlist of 1,000. Cool. That can work for you. But you have to look at those 4 pillars at a minimum to define it. The other ones, supporting pillars, can be trade shows, right? Go to a trade show where your audience lives. We just got back from one last week. It was a killer success. Why was it? Because we did our campaign properly. Got a lot of attention. So there's something to say about that. You can't just say, I want this in the next month. It's going to take a little bit of time. But trade shows, cold visits, have your salespeople go and do cold visits. That's all part of the campaign. How am I going to do cold visits in the campaign? Am I just going to go to a spot? No, you want to email them first. Market to them first. Warm the people up a little bit. That's all part of the campaign. All right, Kyle, I've got a sales guy traveling. going through North Carolina, South Carolina in 3 weeks, 3 months. I want to set up his calendar around this specific campaign. Cool. Create an email series to those people, talking about how he's visiting, pushing branded content, showing them videos, white papers, guides, books, etc., 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 to make it easier for those people that he's going to be driving through their town. It's going to make it easier for him to turn somebody cold or warm into an actual opportunity if you do some marketing ahead of time. Does it work if you just go in cold? Yes, I've done it dozens of times, hundreds of times. Walk into a building and say, hey, I don't know who to talk to here, but I'm looking for this. Who do you think I should talk to the receptionist? Oh, that would be Joe. Is Joe around? I just need like 5 minutes. Let me see. About 10% of the time that works. When it does work, it works well. So clearly figure out what verticals you're going to work in. I just laid them out. These will work for almost every single campaign at a minimum. Social aspect on LinkedIn, email marketing with some sort of platform. That's not just MailChimp or Constant Contact. I sent out an email to 3,000 people. That doesn't work anymore. And it hasn't worked for so long. You have to slowly drip it out, sending out 100, 300, 500 emails a day through a sales sequence and then following up on it, et cetera, et cetera. That's the best way to work. And PPC, if you have the budget, do it. If you don't have the budget for PPC, then at a minimum, go social, go email, and make sure that that list is good. All right, number 4 is going to be track results. What do I mean by that? So track results. Oh, Kyle, we track results. Okay, here you have to track the results that matter. Get away from these vanity metrics. What do you mean by vanity metrics? What I mean by vanity metrics are, hey, we've got 6,000 impressions. We got 6,000 emails that were sent. Cool. We got a 2.6% click-through rate. Awesome. Those are still vanity metrics to me. Other marketers could be like, no, Kyle, that stuff matters. Okay, it does matter. Tell an industrial company that you're going to hang your hat on your metrics that are vanity and not look at what did it actually do. If you're telling me that you set your goal as lead generation, that is all that matters. How many leads did I get? Most marketers are going to tell the story. Well, this is what we did and this is what the outcome was and blah, 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 blah. That's fine. Can those metrics give you some indication into what could happen? Yes. If I get 10,000 impressions and a 4.68 click-through rate and these many people on the site with this much of a bounce rate or lack of bounce rate, and then this is the average time on site, could you come to a conclusion saying that based on that, the theory would be that you should get leads from it? Yeah. Until it doesn't work. Until you're like, yeah, I sent a bunch of attention to it. But they didn't buy. They didn't fill out the form. They didn't click the call to action. They didn't book time. They didn't complete an order, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're setting all of this up, it should live in a single location. You're setting all this up, you have to be able to track the actual goal and target. If the goal and target for this machine tool company is to sell more end mills, you have to be able to track that. And if you're that machine tool company, you probably can track it internally. If you're a marketing agency that's working with that machine tool company, you better get access to it and preferably not rely on them hand feeding it to you, right? If we're running ads for a company, they're spending 100 grand a month on ads, and I can't track if when people called or when people filled out a form, if I can't track, did that result in a deal? Number one, right? Marketing, let's look at the process. An MQL is a marketing qualified lead. That's somebody that fills out a form. Then it goes over to sales. And if you're e-com, then it just goes into the pipeline, the cart, did they buy, et cetera, et cetera. But for everybody else, it's not B2B e-com or B2C e-com. It then goes over to sales. Sales then has to qualify it, say, yes, this is a sales qualified lead, an SQL. Once it becomes an SQL, now there's an opportunity. You got something to quote. You got a deal out there. Now we can make some money. From that, how many deals were created? You have to track that. What is the source of the deal? How many deals were created? And what was the vertical, right? All right, so in this campaign, in this theoretical campaign that we have going on here, I'm selling end mills to a group. I've got 5 to 10 salespeople that aren't busy enough. They're in the United States, 51 to 200 employees at the target demographic. I'm using the verticals that I laid out as the marketing methods of email, social, PPC. All of that is going on. You're sending traffic to a specific landing page or to a specific internal page that you already have. That page has already been optimized. You know that if you go to it, tells a story, good call to action, et cetera, et cetera. They can easily take the action of the goal that you're trying to set. All that is done. Now it's time to do the most important, which is to track. So I want to know, if I'm that person running that campaign, I want to know who's been to the site. I want to know how many deals. Number one, the thing that matters most is how many deals, opportunities came from it. All right, Kyle, so we've got these 3 verticals over last week, and I mean weekly, if not daily, looking at this. Over last week, we've had 10 deals. What's the breakdown of those deals? 5 are from social, 1 is from PPC, 4 is from email. Cool. All right, I know social, email, PPC. Here's my breakdown. How many of those deals, what's the dollar amount? All right, so social is this much dollars, PPC is this much, and email is this much. Okay, why do you care about dollars amount? Because just because you have a certain number of opportunities coming from a vertical does not mean that that's the right type of opportunities. Even if they close, we're not even there yet in my theoretical campaign. Even if they close, I want to know what's the dollar amount, because then I can put weight on that lead coming in from that vertical. Then that's going to help me as a marketer say, put more money in here or don't. If I'm getting bigger deals from email than I am through social, I want to put more money into email. I know what I've put in, and I know what is the return. So then if I'm going to say increase the activity there by $1,000 worth. Well, what does that mean for email, Kyle? You don't pay for it. So people are going to be like, what do you mean you're not spending more money? You're spending money on names. So if I'm like, email's working, get me more names. There is there's a mining out there of names that you could not believe. Even when you think your market's this big, you go deeper, go wider with those companies. Maybe you go an inch deep and a mile wide, right? You say, I still want to go with these companies, but let me get all of the employees, C-level, VPs, et cetera, from multiple departments. That's how you can go deeper or wider and spend money. So you looked at, it brought in this many deals. The deal dollar amount is this. Cool. Did any of those deals close? That's the next step. Yes, 1 deal closed. Where'd it come from? Came from this thing. All right, cool. Let's track that further. Week number 2 comes around. Are we still going down the right path? Yes. Are we starting to be able to see some sort of trend here? Can I say at the end of this month, when I'm looking at the data, can I say, yes, put more information here or more effort into this, push harder here? Or if it's not working, flip side of it, it's not working. Okay, let's take a step back. I've got goose eggs up there, right? I've got goose eggs up there for the source of these deals. I've got no deals. I've got no closed deals, no open deals, no RFQs. Go back a step. When you sent the traffic from social to your website, what happened to those people? Well, it was 12 people. Okay, it was 12 people over a week that went to it. What did they do? Did they spend like 3 seconds on the site and then leave? Was it the right target? We know it was the right target, right? Well, was it the right target, Joe? No, we know it was. We uploaded the list. We targeted these people. Okay? So it's the right target. They're going to the site. Did the page load? What's the page load speed? Did the page load fine for them? Yeah, it loaded fine for them. Maybe you got some tracking system on there like Crazy Egg for WordPress and things like that, where it records the session, scroll, all that stuff, clicks, heat maps, everything. Something like Crazy Egg. So you look at, okay, they went to the site. What did they do? Oh, they didn't go to any more pages. They just stayed at that page. All right, do we have links to other pages, or is it just a call to action to book time with us? No, it's just a call to action to book time. Okay. So then you just got to start thinking like, what happened there? Maybe it's the mix of the content that you have, right? How far do they scroll? Like you take every single thing and just tear it apart and look under the hood of that thing and tear apart the engine, but you have to do it based on data. All right, emails, what happened? We had good open rate, right? We had 28% open rate, 5% click-through rate. What happened when those people clicked? Well, they went to the page. Maybe the issue is with your page. You're getting attention to it, but the page isn't converting. Maybe it's the copy, maybe it's the images, maybe it's the video, maybe it's call to action, maybe it's the page load speed. Maybe it's the menu structure or lack of menu structure because you went straight up landing page, no menu structure, or you just did it built within the system. So many factors and variables here, but you can't know until you have the data. So on email, sent it out to 1,000 people. I had 200 people open it, so 20% open rate, and I had 10 people click it. Right? Just look at all those numbers. The people that opened it, is it the right people? Is it working? Are they clicking? Well, if they're not clicking, but they're opening, then maybe the copy's bad. But it's like you don't know that until you have all the data to support it. So if I was a marketing agency and I'm just like, hey, we got 20% open rate, we got extra 600 people to your site from this campaign. Cool. Vanity metric. Did they do anything? No, they didn't. Now, I'm not saying that they have to happen in week 1, week 3, month 1. It doesn't necessarily work that fast. It depends on what you're doing. But if you're not tracking that stuff, if you're not tracking what matters, following that person from when they first came across you into your funnel, into your pipeline, into your ecosystem of content, and then what happened from there, then you can't possibly go back and make adjustments and changes. Because if you're just looking at the vanity metrics, you're going to be like, this is working. It's up 56% from last month. Yeah, but is it up in the right direction? Like, is it the right people? Does not matter. You could be spending $100,000 a month, but if it's not converting into something after a certain period of time of test, after a certain period of time of market penetration, if it's not working, stop doing that. It's not resulting in deals. If it is resulting in deals, but it's not the perfect deals, it's like the dollar amounts. We got deals, LinkedIn, so social, email, PPC, that brought us deals. What's the deal dollar amount? It's not really where we want it to be. We want it to be a little bit better, a little bit increased. Okay, let's tweak some things a little bit. Maybe it's the wrong people are going after. Maybe your expectations are wrong. Maybe you're thinking I should be getting an average of a $12,000 deal and I'm getting an average of a $6,000 deal. Maybe you're looking at it wrong and saying, what is the typical first purchase over the last 12 months of somebody coming from these different industries? So many things go into it. I can go on for hours and hours and hours. Last thing, number 5 is my favorite word in the world, pivot. My favorite word in the world is probably be legendary. But you have to pivot. You have to pivot, because if you don't pivot, you're just going to be stuck and nothing's going to change. And that goes anything in your life. If you're not happy with something, pivot. You're not happy with your personal life, your finances, the way you look, the way you feel, the things that you think, the job that you have, the people that are around your life, you have to pivot, make an adjustment, right? No different than in marketing. You have to give it time, a reasonable amount of time, whatever that reasonable amount of time is, depending on what you're trying to do. You have to be tracking the results. But the issue is typically there's always holes in the data. It's like, yeah, I got this information, but then there's this gap here, and I've got this information. I don't know what happened there. So if it's like I brought people, they fill out an RFQ, MQL, how could I pivot on a strategy if I say, I got MQLs, but they're not converting to SQLs? That's weird. Most marketing agencies are just like, yeah, looks like MQL to SQL conversion percentage is down. I want to talk to the salespeople talking to them. I want to have an actual conversation. I don't care if it's once a week. Guys, 10 deals were brought in. Walk me through each deal. Let me look into your CRM system and look at the notes. Why was that deal shit? Why did it suck? Why did that not go from an MQL to an SQL? Let me look at some trends here. Let me look at some repeat offenders. Let me see if there's any sort of statistical analysis I can do to start to predict, all right, this thing is definitely not working based on all of this data. It all comes back to the data. So if I do have to pivot, but I don't have the data, then I'm pivoting on blind faith, which can work. Sometimes, like, every squirrel finds a nut, and a broken clock is right twice a day. So it can work, but is it going to work the best? Probably not. That's not maximizing your ROI. If you're going to maximize your ROI, then you need to be able to track everything and then pivot micro adjustments every single chance that you see enough data to support making a decision. If you don't make that pivot, then you will not be maximizing your ROI. If somebody says, all right, this is the campaign, we're going to do this same thing for the next 12 months, and it's going to get you results. If there's no pivoting in there, then once the campaign's set, like, what are they really doing? You're just reporting on numbers, which can work until somebody says, hey, bullshit, can we make a change here? This is not working. So you have to tie everything together in this campaign. That's the only way to maximize your ROI. Make those pivots, but make sure you clearly set and define the goals, the target, what are the verticals that you're going after, all this together. It is so simple. We do this every day, and maybe that's why I look at this so simply, whereas other agencies don't do it. Companies just don't know. I get it, but I've been doing this for 8 years. And the verticals change. The way that you get to, the goal is always the same, right? For industrial companies, sell, make money. The goal, that's the same for every business. For the most part, I get brand penetration. I get brand awareness. Totally get that. That's the goal some of the times. But for most companies, they're like, all I really want is more money at the end. They're trying to boost their revenue. So the goal hasn't really changed. The target hasn't really changed. either, right? They're going after the same types of people. Sometimes it shifts, EVs more popular, batteries, like because of new technology comes up, the target will tweak, but it's not going to be like completely different unless the company goes in a completely different direction with their service or their product, then the target gets tweaked. The verticals change. The verticals today versus 8 years ago are different versus 8 years before that. Anybody that's an OG like me, you remember grabbing that manufacturing directory, right? Grabbing that Bible, hitting the streets, flipping through it, using MapQuest to find places. That's what we used to do. Print off that MapQuest, man. You're going in that industrial park. You better figure out how to get there. And I'm just going page by page. These are people I'm hitting tomorrow. These are people I'm calling today. I'm just flipping through. Before CRMs, really before computer programs were even like robust enough to do something, right? That's OG. That's early 2000, mid 2000, late 2000. Or used to rely on services like ThomasNet. Oh, I've got a profile on ThomasNet. When people need me, they need my service, they're going to search. I'm going to show up, serving Illinois, serving Texas, located in Texas. I'm a blah, blah, blah company, and they're going to hit me up through ThomasNet. Yeah, that does not work anymore. People just go direct. They search. So the verticals have changed. Print magazine used to be super effective, less effective now, even less effective than it was 5 years ago. Just the nature of the beast. So the verticals are going to change. If you're not tracking your data, if you're not making those pivots, you will be a dinosaur in the room. You will not grow, and you will eventually die if you're not growing. You have to be moving and taking some action in some direction. If you take no action, you're falling behind every single day that you're not doing something, you're losing traction, you're losing opportunities. So you have to take that action, but if you're not tracking everything, you can't possibly know what action to take. It's just guessing. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this live for me. If you're watching on the replay, comments still work, man. Put them comments in there. Share it. Hit them blue thumbs on LinkedIn. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. If you're not following me, go over to YouTube and follow me. And if you're on YouTube, head over to LinkedIn. If you guys want to listen to this, head over to every major podcast platform and type in industrial sales and marketing with me, and you can listen to this live. I appreciate you guys taking the time, engaging with me on this for the last hour, and I will see you on the next one.